So today, Rowena, we're going to dig into something that both of us... Do you like doing it, first of all? Do you like marketing?
I guess it depends what I'm marketing and what I'm marketing at the moment. Thinking about, what programs you're doing is very exciting to be able to share with other people and talk about it. I think if you are marketing on behalf of your clients, there is always a feeling of you just want this to land well, right? Nobody really enjoys marketing or selling ideas or things, right? There's so much resistance around that. So I've had to adjust some of my attitudes around marketing and sales. And I guess the way I've adjusted is to just think about how this can provide value and sort of not going for the hard sell, the hard push. It's like, this is all the information that I'd like to share with you. This is the value that I think this can bring, but I'll leave it with you. And of course, if you have questions, let me know. That kind of approach, I think, works best because everyone wants to feel in control of that situation. Part of what makes people feel like they're not in control is when people are pushing them towards something and kind of forcing them to choose or forcing them down a particular road. That's why, sometimes when you're walking in a shopping mall and there's these booths and people are coming up to you, you're like, ooh, I need to get out of here. Or, not maintain eye contact because you don't want to be approached. You don't want to be pushed for a decision. So that's how I feel, able to do these sort of things. Is just don't go for the hard sell. Focus on, really understanding your audience and trying to see things from their perspective, which, is always easier to talk about than to actually do. And if you can step into the shoes of your reader or your viewer and you just have conversations to kind of see how you can understand more about their situation, then that not only helps them to feel heard and seen, it also helps you to better understand how to deliver your product or your service in a way that, resonates. That was the long answer to that, Krista. I think you were expecting a short one, and I was just like,
no. No, because, when you talk about marketing, different people have different reactions and they respond differently. Some people will tell you that, oh, I don't like marketing. Or some people will say, yeah, depends, how it's marketed at me. So likewise, I feel that a lot of times these days, we get a lot of people who market directly at us and we feel pushed to make a decision. And I think that is what makes us feel like it's not a nice situation to be in. It just feels very like we're so uncomfortable, right? When someone's trying to sell you something, it feels very uncomfortable. So a lot of people really don't like marketing. But I think when we're talking about visibility and personal branding, a lot of it is also about marketing. It's marketing of ourselves, which is
something that people do not want to do, right?
Do not like. Yes. Yeah.
So how have you found it easy or, tolerable to talk about yourself or, focus on self-promotion, if we want to call it that?
I feel that every time we talk about marketing ourselves or promoting ourselves, we know from the women that we worked with, a lot of people just say, oh, it's terrible. I don't want to be seen as promoting myself. But what if it's really not about promoting yourself? What if it's really about promoting a message or a belief or an idea that you feel very strongly about? How would you feel about marketing then? And a lot of people never think of that. They just think, oh, I have to promote myself. I have to talk about myself all the time. And for you and me, Rowena, I think both of us have used different ways to market ourselves over the years. And we know that there are so many ways to package something. That is where it really becomes obvious. So if you're talking about yourself, a lot of people find it very difficult. But if you're talking about a cause, a message, something that you really feel strongly about, I think it's so much easier for us to talk about it. So if we focus on things that we want to talk about, I think it makes marketing less about us, but more about what we're trying to, or who we're trying to influence, or what we're trying to bring to other people's attention. In your case, Rowena, you've done a lot of marketing as well. Talk to me about the early days when you were marketing yourself. How did that feel for you?
Horrible. It was very horrible. And I think I sucked at it and I didn't enjoy it because I don't want to talk about myself at all, right? You just like, why? Why do we want to do that? Why do we want all that attention? No, you don't, right? And so, yet here I am on video. How did we get here? I was having such a hard time in the early days to put myself out there. The other thing also to keep in mind with all of this is that a lot of the work that I've done in this area has been gradual and kind of going with the flow and having a plan, but the plan also shifts and evolves over time. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a positive trait. I have noticed about myself that I'm able to evolve and move and not be so kind of fixed or rigid, because that's what has enabled me to also do a couple of different things. I think if I had a very fixed idea in my mind about exactly what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it, I wouldn't have taken all the twists and turns along the way. I would just not have explored it because, why? But because I'm always kind of open with, let's just see where this goes. And also, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be at the end of that. And, how is it going to turn out if I explore that thing? You have no idea. But, how do you know? You just have to do. And in the process, you just have to be willing to fail or just, be in a perpetual state of discomfort because you're doing different things, because a lot of going with the flow is about exploring, right, and getting curious and experimenting. And so to do that, not only one, you have to accept a sense of failure from time to time alongside the wins, but you also have to be uncomfortable, because you can't, you're not always going to be doing things that you know and understand and have a lot of familiarity with. So provided you have a sense of openness to whatever may eventuate and you're happy to kind of learn as you go, growth mindset, then all's good. And I think that's what has helped me. And the thing that has really helped me in kind of being visible and being vocal is not focusing on me, but focusing on my audience or the people that I choose to serve. So I've done a lot of work around supporting women with their careers, with, kind of strengthening their career journey, or when they're making a pivot and considering moving in a completely different direction or just exploring a new industry, doing all that work to support women and also provide a safe space. When you focus on what it is that you're working to do, what messages you're trying to share with key people, when you are focusing on the issues you're advocating for, which is providing a safe space, making sure people understand that they have it in them. You have it in you to go out there and do this. Yes, you can. You can. But you got to start with a sense of self-belief, and you got to start with a sense of adventure. And so those are the messages that I have. And when I'm focusing on those messages and the people, I'm no longer thinking about me. I'm thinking about, well, how best can I get that message out there? Who do I need to connect with? What are people saying? And that it creates that alignment between the audience, between the messages that you deliver, and then your sense of comfort with all of this just grows. So that's how it has been. And, we're talking about it now and it all seems really clear because it is kind of clear now. But I just want to highlight to everyone who's watching that it's been a journey. And it wasn't always clear. And I struggled and I had to explore different things. And so we have gotten to this point, I have gotten to this point now where I am like really clear about what I'm doing and I'm really clear about the paths that I'm taking, but it wasn't always this way. But I was happy to go through that journey of discovery and exploration and, being willing to fail in order to do that. And if you are in that process, just know that, you will get there. It's a process and a journey, but you will get there.
So talk to me a little bit about how you got there. Tell me a strategy or two.
Okay, so
Give me your best strategy.
My best strategy. There are quite a few, but if I had to hone into one, I would say content marketing. So that's the idea of letting your work speak for you. I talk a lot about body of work. So body of work is basically having some sort of tangible representation of you and your work and your expertise, your experience. And what do I mean by tangible? It's, an article you've written, posts you've put out, on social media. And if you're brave enough and you're happy to go down the whole route of videos and stuff like that, like how we are doing it, then it's having videos, right? And for people who are thinking about this or who have started down this journey, sometimes I hear comments around, yeah, I post, but, always struggling with what to post next. So again, I come back to, when you know what it is that you're working to do, when you know what issues you're supporting, those sort of things, they become the pillars that provide a sort of framework around what you're doing. So when I come back to me, I guess that's a good way of looking at it, is thinking about me and the work that I'm doing. My framework is, I think about writing because that's where I'm most comfortable. That's, my experience with publishing, with editing and writing. That's just my happy place to write articles. I can pump out articles easily now. Wasn't the case before. Content marketing is just about helping people to better understand who you are, what you do, and if you are offering a product or a service, it's for them to better get a sense of what that product or service may be and who's delivering that. So when you have content marketing, it's almost like a taster, because if people, if you're inviting people to one of your services or to join one of your programs, for example, how do people make an assessment of, whether it's good? Yes, you can look at the collateral. So it might be a brochure, it might be a website, it's up, yeah. But then you might write a couple of blogs. You might put some posts out on social media. You might do a video. So all of these little bits, these all form part of content marketing. Basically, you're using content to promote and market and help the reader or the audience to understand what you're doing, who it's for. I find the framework, the 5 W's and 1 H, who, what, when, where, why, how, using that sort of approach to guide me in creating any kind of content helps me to remain consistent and aligned with what I'm doing. So thinking about who is this post for, if I'm writing something, what is it, what is my message? And again, you don't want to have too many messages because then it can get confusing, then the post gets too long. So just thinking, what is that one main message that I want to deliver today? Thinking about the why am I doing this? Because ultimately I'm trying to support my reader in what way, and then why is it I want to promote this product or this service, right? Where is thinking about the channels that you might consider using, what you're most comfortable with to start. So who, what, where, when, when is when you want to put it out, but also thinking about frequency and duration. A short post could be 2 paragraphs, an article could be 1,000 words, a video could be a minute long, thinking about doing a variety of pieces. And I know now, talking about it, it just seems like, oh my God, that is a lot. And it is a lot, but you're not supposed to do all of it all in one go. If you're doing this for the first time, it's maybe just starting small. When you're thinking about content marketing, maybe if you haven't done it, it's not about going out there and rushing to do your first article. No, maybe it's just resharing content you've seen that resonates, So if you're in project management and you've come across a good article on project management, it's sharing that article out on social media. But rather than just sharing, where content marketing comes in is you add your 2 cents. Right? So you like the article, you found it valuable. So when you share, you don't just hit share and just leave the article there with no context. What are people supposed to do? They can't read your mind. So it's maybe adding a couple of sentences to talk about what this is about and why you're sharing it. So starting small, little steps, baby steps. And then as you feel more confident, as you get more used to it, in the process, you're discovering your voice. So, I could go on and on. But Krista, you've also done content marketing. So maybe you can weigh in and share a little bit about what are some of the things you've done and where you think some in the audience, or maybe some of the challenges they might be facing.
I think when we talk about content marketing, people get overwhelmed Because the way people talk about content is like you have to write articles, you have to create videos, you have to do a lot of things. And of course, on top of that, you can also post photos, right? I mean, photos are part of content marketing. When you're talking about content, your content marketing and how you put things out there, and because writing is your first love. So I guess writing is easy. We both come from a time when writing was a big part of our lives. So we're just having that as a continuation of our journey. So writing for me is still number one. So that's why I'm a lot more comfortable writing, and it comes with practice. So I cannot say that it just because writing is the way you do it, therefore writing comes easy. And it doesn't come easy. I mean, it doesn't come easy to any of us. But the more you write, the more you practice putting your thoughts out there, the easier it is to put your thoughts out there. So one of my favorite things to do is I love talking to either my clients or friends or people randomly. I meet them in some event and I start talking to them. And sometimes they ask me certain questions. And then I'm like, yeah, that's a really good question. Let me just write it down in my phone, right? As a note. So the next time I'm stumped, next time I feel like I really don't have anything else to write, I just look back at some of the notes. Say, okay, somebody asked me about this, like how do you post frequently on LinkedIn without getting tired or overwhelmed? Or how do you write about your product without writing about your product? Some people say, I want to write about my product, but I just don't want to be a blatant write-up or article about that product, about its features and benefits. How can I write it in a way that sounds more readable? So through questions that people ask you, I think if all of us, I mean, I'm sure all of us talk to somebody in the course of our day, or even if we don't have an idea, go and read some stuff online, some forums, Facebook groups. You start to get ideas, especially if it's about your industry. And then from there, you can start thinking, okay, what possible articles can I write based on these questions that someone has asked me? So it's not just about, I have to sit and think about everything, of what I want to say, what I want to write. What if I don't have a message? What if right now, today, I really don't have a message? So this could be one way for you to think, okay, I could take something that someone asked me. So just the other day, I was with a client and she said that someone actually found her on AI. So I was like, really? How do people find you on AI? There was this person who wanted to buy her services. So she's in the insurance industry. He actually typed that question into AI, like how to buy insurance, or how to get insurance. And I pulled up information about her. And eventually, after clicking, he went to her website, right? And from the website, he saw her number because she has a WhatsApp number listed. He texted her. And she is very quick to respond to inquiries. So she replied him and set up a meeting with him, met him face to face, and she closed the deal. So I love this story, right? So this was like some random person typing stuff into AI, asking what's the best insurance to buy, because I think he was going to have a baby, right? He and his wife, they are going to have a baby. So he wanted to buy insurance for his child. So he used that as a query in AI that he typed in, but eventually it got to her. So this was such an inspiring story because, number one, it just shows that she's quick, right? And the quicker you are, you win the deal. So he told her that he also messaged another person from another agency, and the person never got back to him until a week later. So this was a great story. So I said, okay, I'm going to write this up as a story. So this is not even my story. This is my client's story. But I found that it was so interesting that from here we could learn a couple of things. One is that, if some random inquiry comes in, please respond to it. So you never know. It turned into a deal for her. The other thing is, if people are thinking, do I still need websites in the era of AI? Yes, you do, because AI needs to pull information from somewhere, and that somewhere is your website. And 3 is that the same query that someone types in may not get them to a website, but it just so happened that that particular person did that, and got to her and he became her client. So this was my story. It wasn't even my story. I wrote it up and it's on my blog. So that's where I think, everyday interactions will bring a lot of things into your life if you choose to write about it or even create a video about it.
I think that's great. And that's also my experience. Like you can have plans about what you're going to write about, but at some point you just run out of ideas. And so basically I've created a situation where I always have the ability to take note. And WhatsApp has been really useful, but I also have notes in my phone because ideas can strike when you're taking a walk or, you're having a conversation with someone asks you a question, you go, that is a great content piece there. And then you just have to record it straight away. And the other thing to tell you is we have to record intelligently because if you fail to do that, then you run into problems. So in the past, I used to just put like a short little word or a phrase. And then if I don't get around to looking at it, like in the moment, it makes a lot of sense. But then 3 days later, when I'm looking at it, I'm going, huh? It's just like left me. I'm like, okay, mental note, write properly so that when you eventually come back to it, which could be sometime later, it'll still make sense. So totally agree with that. And I also do that. And coming back to your earlier point about writing, it's a journey. One of the things that has been really good for me as a result of my writing journey, which I opened up to, is discovering my voice because I didn't know what I would be writing when I first started. I want to write. I want to learn how to write. I want to learn how to express myself. I want to learn how to articulate ideas. But in learning and practicing over a period of years, I have found my voice. So that's one of the things to understand from this. It's not expecting things to happen immediately and being patient as well. And we're talking about all these things, all these strategies and plans and activities that you have to do because the understanding is all of these things take time and work. Yeah, I mean, there's no quick fix for anything that you want to do. Program you want to launch, product that you're creating, service. It just takes time. We see on social media or, in movies about influencers and they put something out and 3 seconds later it's all sold out. Yeah, okay, for some of us, but for the greater majority of people it's a hard slog, right? And so you got to ask yourself, and that's good too in a way because you just have to ask yourself, well, how firmly committed am I to this? How badly do I want to get this service or product out there? And if you do, it means something to you and you're really committed to it, then yeah, you commit to the work that you need to do.
Having you said that, like sometimes you write a word and in your notes and then you're like, okay, later, what is it all about, right? It's too vague. So here's my hack. Just use audio. Just record that audio note to yourself.
That's a good one, yes.
And then in that audio note, you can elaborate a little bit more and have more context when you're ready to write that article or create that content
that is good.
Or that social media post.
I'd forgotten about the audio component and I was always writing and texting and sometimes, it's just like too many words, But yeah, I like the audio. That's a good tip. Thank you. All right, so over to you. So, we still have a couple more minutes. So I've talked about my marketing strategy being, content marketing. I'm sure you've got quite a few, but if you had to share one today, what would be yours?
But here's one which is pretty old-fashioned, but it still works. So I consider it as evergreen marketing, is direct outreach to your family, your friends, your clients, friends of friends, acquaintances, people you have met. And I think people forget that when we think about marketing, when we talk about marketing, people think digital marketing or marketing online. But I feel that sometimes the friendly type of marketing, the people who are your friends, existing friends, are the ones that will happily help you out. So if you actually had to choose one way of starting small, like you say, baby steps, something that doesn't freak you out, doesn't make you feel very nervous, is just to send a WhatsApp message to a friend or friends, send a message to your client, send a message to someone you met recently. And it could just be something like you've written something and put it on your website or your blog. And you just take that link and you say, hey, I just wrote an article about, whatever topic. And you include that link and you say, do have a look at it, have a read, see what resonates with you, and let me know. And most people will be more than happy just to read an article. And so in a way, I feel that that kind of marketing helps a lot. So that's the first part. That is, if you have an article written and you want people to come and read it, right? Because sometimes the article doesn't, if you don't promote the article or don't promote whatever you've written, no one's going to come and read it. The other way is sometimes you have something like, for me, I have an event coming up. And that event is where I have my workshop where we are teaching and sharing about strategy game. So what do? So I will just message people or friends that I know and say, hey, I'm going to be in KL on this date at this venue, and I'm doing this game session, and I heard that you were interested in when I talked about it recently. Would you like to join? And so I give the link to the registration page, and if you're interested, they will join. And some people are even better. Sometimes I tell them, if you're not interested in the game, no worries. Just share this with friends whom you think this will be useful. And so they will happily forward that information out. Sometimes when we think about marketing, we think about all the really difficult things. But sometimes marketing is just about sharing your message with your friends who would love to support you and love to help you share their message out. But again, a lot of people have this other mindset too. I don't want to bother my friends. I don't want to inconvenience them, right? And I always tell them, reframe that. You're not inconveniencing a friend because you're giving your friend a chance to help you. Maybe you have not asked, your friend to help you. And this is just for them. It's just a WhatsApp forward. If they don't forward it, no big deal, right? But if they forward it to the right person, it could mean the world to the person who received the message, because then they say, hey, I didn't know there was such a program or such a workshop or such a webinar. I'm so glad I got this forwarded message. So I think for me in Malaysia, I think WhatsApp works pretty fast. If you don't want to use WhatsApp, you can always use email. You can use whatever ways
Facebook
that work for you.
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger. In the Philippines, Facebook Messenger actually works so much better compared to Malaysia, because Malaysians, we hardly ever use the Facebook
Actually,
Messenger.
yes. Some other areas, some other countries too, like say Myanmar, Facebook is very popular, more popular than say LinkedIn. So that is the default. So I guess, knowing, what works in your local area as well is good. So do you kind of personalize it a bit, or you just leave it more general?
I would personalize my message.
Okay.
Because
good.
if I don't personalize it, it's so easy to just copy and paste a message, right, on WhatsApp. So for me, I'll personalize it with, of course, the person's name. Even though I know I'm texting the person, just say, hi, Rowena. So I'll put it at hi, Rowena. And I also would probably reference something that we spoke about recently, or something that was in that person's life. For instance, I know that, hey, Rowena, recently you went for, is it karate or taekwondo? I'm not too sure which is which.
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. Okay. So, hi, Rowena, recently you went for, your taekwondo finals, and how did it go? And then later I'll say, by the way, I'm doing this workshop. If you know anyone, could you either forward it to that person or let me know if you're interested? So I try to personalize it, because if you don't personalize it, it's quite meaningless. The person just doesn't care.
It's just like a bit of a spam, right? So you want to have a bit of a connection first, kind of warm them up, and you want to be focusing on them. That's why you talk about whatever they are, an event or something that is unique to them, so they feel like that connection. And that's worked for you, right?
Yeah, it's worked for me. And I know that people who buy from me are people who know, like, and trust me. And the people who know, like, and trust me are my friends and my clients. So I usually go that way, because even if my friend or my client forwarded their message to their friends or their clients, it's really a warm trail of
For sure.
Everyone knows everyone. Yeah, because you wouldn't forward it to someone you don't know. So which is why I find that this is one of the... It's a little bit more manual, depending on how you look at it. But I think sometimes marketing has to come back to a certain way of doing things, right? So really it's about relationships. It's about making sure the person that we're marketing to is not just like marketing to 1,000 people. You can do that if you're doing email. And personalization is even easier on email. But these days, you have to get through the spam filters. You have to get through a lot of different things. And maybe they didn't check their email for the last, 1-2 weeks because they were on holiday. And by the time they came back and be like, I don't know, I didn't see your email, right? It just got into my inbox and it got stuck there somehow. So sometimes, even if I send an email, I'll follow up with a WhatsApp message just to make sure that they got it and make sure that they saw the message that I sent somehow. Yeah. So these are some of the, I would say, not easy, but absolutely doable marketing
effective
strategies, right?
It's effective. Yeah. No one promised easy.
Yeah, no one promised easy.
No one promised easy.
We could definitely go on and on about marketing, because I think we have so many different ways that we have marketed ourselves. So we shall save some for the next episode. We shouldn't overwhelm people with too many things. So from what I hear, what we were talking about, I think if I could do a summary, one is focus on the message. Focus on what you really want to say and be very clear on what you want to say. 2 is try content marketing, but do it in a way that feels comfortable to you. And if right now you don't know what to write or you haven't found your voice yet, try sharing or reposting other people's articles and add your own opinion or your thoughts to that. Just instead of just blindly, reposting someone's article, right? The other one is pay attention to your interactions in your daily life, because you never know. A phone call, a conversation over lunch, even conversation with, the person who's selling you food or selling you, something in the grocery store could be gold for your own marketing.
Yes.
Which means we have to go out there and talk to more people. And finally, the one that I like the most is find your voice. Even though that is not the easiest thing to do, if you can do for yourself, you can find it early in your life. It actually makes all your content, all your marketing, all your visibility strategies far more effective and powerful, because you have to find your voice.
For sure.
Because other than that, you'll be writing like someone else or talking like someone else.
Inauthentic. Yeah. It won't feel real. It won't feel like you're connecting with it. Yeah. And of course, your tips about, reaching out to your own network, immediate network, your network that's closest to you, friends, supporters, clients. Yeah. This seems like a sensible thing to do. Because, that connection's already there, the relationship's already there. So you already have, as you said, what was it? Warm. Like you've got reception. You've got reception.
Yeah. Yeah. And people love hearing from you. If they like you, of course. They love hearing from you and they want to hear from you. And sometimes you're just giving them an opportunity to help you pass the message along. Yeah. So sometimes a lot of people I talk to say that I don't want to inconvenience anyone. But you're not inconveniencing them. You're just helping someone help someone else. Yeah. So it's just that. Yeah. So from your side, anything you want to add on? Anything you want to say besides the network and the warm networks?
Keep at it, I guess. It's the main message. Keep at it. Keep experimenting. Keep trying new things. And stay the course.
Yeah. Stay the course. And if there's any thing that you like to add, maybe you have your own marketing strategies that work very well for you, leave them in the comments below so that Rowena and I can learn something new too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we will definitely keep more marketing strategies coming in future episodes as we go along on our behind the scenes videos. But today we wanted to make it a little different, right, from talking about behind the scenes. We just wanted to share a little bit of our own personal behind the scenes, which is how we market ourselves and how we market our programs and products and everything else in between. So we'll see you again next week with another episode.